Welcome to episode 5 of the illustrious Pokepals Pokemon podcast. I am your host that loves to talk far too much. I am the Mush who loves the Mons, flanked as always by my two illustrious co-hosts, in tone with the big bone who likes to have a moan in his zone, and the strongest man in Pokemon, it is Ed. And before we do any intros, hellos and how are yous, we are saying farewell, so long, auf Wiedersehen, good night, to the Scarlet and Violet Era. It is a very, very somber moment, and I will take 3 seconds of silence. Wonderful. How are we, boys?
Yeah, not too bad, mate. Can't believe another week has gone by, but getting closer to the weekend, and boy, oh boy, do I need it.
Yeah, I'm not too bad, apart from I probably sound a bit off. I'm very bunged up and we've got the man flu, so what can you do?
It has been a week for all of us feeling lower than a Diglett's arse. So I think that everybody will have to bear with us, appreciate and hold on to what little entertainment and excitement we can bring to you. But nevertheless, never fear, we are here and we are going to entertain you for as long as we physically can. This week, we've got a few topics that we want to discuss, like saying goodbye to the Scarlet and Violet Era. We're going to touch on Black Bolt and White Flare and where we go from there. We've got the Positivity Zone, because every 5 episodes we're going to tell you good stuff that goes on in the Pokemon community, because it's not all, as Ed said, doom, gloom and vile plume. After that, we'll be doing the strongest analytics, where we recap all of the greatest things that have been from the S and V era. We will take each other on one by one in our little card of ours, and then we will be introducing a brand new segment where we will whip out our rods, not like that, you dirty mongrels, as we go fishing for hits, courtesy of Koi Cards. I'll flash up their image here. Thank you ever so much, you absolute legends. So, lads, as we say farewell to Scarlet and Violet era, I'm actually really sad. Because for me, I got back into the collection pretty much as Paldea Evolved kind of came out. Now, I wasn't fully back in. I was still, dibble-dabbling in regular life and being a human being that isn't obsessed with tiny pieces of shiny cardboard covered in magical creatures. No, Dad, it's not a phase. It's been something that I've held very dear. I've put a lot of time and effort into my Scarlet saves. I've bunged in more hours into that than I have into my actual full-time job. And I've got many cards that I love from this entire era. So for me, it's really sad to see it go. And a little bit of me doesn't want it to end. It's like a movie that you're really enjoying and you don't want to see the final credits, because then you know it's over and it's time to leave the cinema, even though they've got reclining seats. And realistically, it's where do we go from here? Now, obviously, we here in the UK have already been teased with Black Bolt and White Flare from the Japanese side of things, which is proving to be a really cool set with some really cool hits and some really nice IRs. But with Legend ZA eventually coming out and things like that, it's wondering where the TCG will go from here. But before we get into what's coming, we will look at what's gone and we will recap the S&V era. So how are you guys feeling about Scarlet and Violet finally picking up its bags and leaving?
Oh man, it's genuinely like so sad. Like I'm actually much more upset than I thought I would be. I mean, I only got back into collecting back in October last year, so I've only really seen like maybe half of the era. But this is the first time that I've been like almost lucid enough in the hobby to actually understand what it means that an era is coming to the end. Because obviously, like we touched on in our last episode, when you're a kid and it's just like it's base set, and then all of a sudden you've got fossil, and then everything that comes after it, you just like you don't actually comprehend what that is, what that means. Just new shiny cardboards coming out and you want to get all on it. But yeah, it's so weird actually being in the hobby, like knowing that like the next games come in, we're going back to like Mega Evolutions, and then looking at all the sets that we've had this year, well, in this era rather, and also all of those ones that I didn't really get to open much of or like fully enjoy. It almost feels like the end of this era feels a lot more final for some reason than it did with like Sword and Shield. Because when I was, as I say, back in October, I was still able to pick up like bits of Crown Zenith, bits of Silver Tempest, like fairly regularly, even like Fusion Strike and Lost Origin. And now it's just like I can't even get Journey Together or like Destined Rivals at the minute. So as soon as the mega sets drop, it's just like, well, S&V's well and truly dead. But yeah, overall, just a bit sad.
Yeah, I want to echo Ed on that as well. It is a bit upsetting. I didn't think I'd feel like this. Um, I joined the hobby when Obsidian Flames was released, so right at the start, the third setting, and Scarlet Violet Base and Paldea Evolved were very easy to get a hold of, as were loads of the later sets of Sword and Shield. To the point it barely felt like Sword and Shield had ended, because I remember, like I said before, my first set that I opened was actually Silver Tempest. Um, but it's like the culmination and the finality of the Scarlet and Violet era is kind of on us now, and it is a bit sad because I went through every single set and got to enjoy or hate every single set in its own way. Yeah, I'm looking at you, Prismatic. Um, but no, it just feels like it's coming to an end a bit too early. But you also understand, because when you really look at it, you see how many sets have actually been released, and it's like, as much as it is sad, I'm kind of looking forward to hopefully a breath of fresh air. If you look at the end of the Sword and Shield era, it had one of the best sets ever released in Crown Zenith, and some of the best pull rates, some of the best artworks that really led into the Scarlet Violet era, where you got two reverse hellos, a bonus chance of getting a decent card, the return of ace spec cards, the return of baby shinies with powder and fates. There was a lot of positive, and I just hope that the start of S&V era will hopefully be similar to the start of the Mega era, and hopefully we get to access more packs much more frequently.
And for me, I'm very tentative to go to the end of an era, because being back in the collection space, I haven't done an era. Like, for me, although I joined at the start, I couldn't even say that was specifically what was going on. It was just Paldea Evolved and Base Set were readily available for me when I kind of started to dabble. I didn't see an awfully large amount of Sword and Shield in the wild. Like, if I saw it, I'd pick it up, because for me that was like, oh, I loved Sword. It was cool to open a set that correlated to a game that I really enjoyed. But Scarlet was my jam. My jam. This is my jam. If you know the Vine, you're on for a win. It was, for me, I put so many hours into it, and I know that everyone was plagued with performance issues and frame rates and all that, but there was something about playing that game alongside opening the TCG that went with it that was just fantastic for me. And
Yeah.
as we got further down the line, and the scalpers doing their scalping again, out there stealing every box away from every 4-year-old child in a Walmart somewhere in America, it was just, it became very frustrating, because I loved the game and I enjoyed the generation and the Pokédex, but I couldn't go and get myself a box of Prismatic. Not that I would want to, because it's absolutely rank. I hate
Garbage
that set.
set.
It's gash. And it's going to be mentioned so much when we analyse all of the Scarlet and Violet stuff. So absolutely fingers in the ears and down the throat if you don't want to listen to it. But for me, I'm very excited to actively be ready for a new era. Like, for me, by the time this era comes out, I will have, hopefully, fingers crossed, finished my Glory of Team Rocket Master set, and will have no collection direction. It will be like, oh, what shall I collect?
Yeah.
So it will open up the doors to go, do you want to collect this set? Do you want to collect this set? Do you want to get all the megas? Do you want to do this? There's so much option for me that it is very exciting, but at the same time, daunting. So
Yeah.
I'm like 50-50. I'm really sad it's ending, but at the same time, I'm really excited to see where it goes. It's kind of like school.
Yeah.
Like, I'm stoked to get the hell out of there, but also I'm probably going to miss, some of it.
Yeah, no, that's it. It's like there's a huge amount of like anticipation for what's coming, but I think if anything, I'm heading into this next generation of Pokemon like probably not going to look at Master Setting for a good while, at least until like the hype and everything dies down a bit, and like that sort of hype bubble pops a bit. Just because it's like I'm coming into like the Mega era with like 8 cards of 151 I still need, 7 from Journey Together, and then like 40 odd for Destined Rivals. It's like, it is a bit crazy, and like we touched on last week, the releases are pretty unrelenting. So I think I'm just going to head into this at least the first set of the Mega Era, just collecting the ones that I want to see, like that Bulbasaur that we've seen get leaked. That is a stunning card, and I will absolutely be
Beautiful
after that.
card.
Yeah.
Just to remind
I'll
myself to
absolutely-
flash it on the screen now. There you go. Because obviously Tone set me up for that in the last episode where he just decided to randomly drop in a card and tell me that I'm putting it on the screen. But this Bulbasaur
is incredible.
It is a nice card. Yeah, I am in complete agreement. I don't think that I'm desperate to do another master set because I've still got like £300-400 worth of cards to buy for Glory, and that is 90% just a Mewtwo card. But there are loads that have come out, especially in Black Bolt and White Flare, that I really like as well. Like the Venipede line, Venipede, Whirlipede, Scolipede, fantastic art rares. Would love to have those just to sit in the binder. So it's nice to be able, and I hope that Tone feels the same way we do, to be able to look at singles rather than sets. Because I think sets are getting harder and harder to fill.
Yeah, and I think, again, I've discussed it with you both personally. A lot of my in-life priorities are going to be changing and looking to be moving house and various other things in life, which means the way I collect will change. And I've spent a lot of this era chasing master sets because at the core of my heart, I'm a collector. And it's now looking at, I'll get the pulls that I get from the little bits of packs I get, but I'm not going to be able to, for instance, with Temporal Forces, I probably ripped about 8-9 booster boxes of that. And I was very humble and lucky enough to be able to afford that at the time and get that. I'm not going to afford anything like that going forward. So I'm going to accept what I can get my hands on. And then, like you said, if there are that 1 or 2 cards that are like, I need to have that, get them as singles, not waste my money on getting loads of bulk cards that I've already got a box full of, and just try and enjoy it a much more watered down way instead of I think a lot of people in this hobby can follow the hype, and it's like you have to get this big card, you have to be whipping all these packs, and it's like I've been in the hobby long enough now where I can enjoy it at my own pace and not have to feel like I need to keep up.
I think the big card hype's a really good one to touch on as well, because S&V era, a lot of big cards, a lot of big card hype. We had Moonbryons, we had Magikarps, we had Legendaries, we had Little Pink Friends and Paldean Fates, and every set had a card that you were kind of made to feel a little bit silly if you didn't want it. Like Obsidian Flames Charizard. Okay, everybody wanted that card, pulled it. Very lucky to have pulled it. Thank you, Morrison's, for randomly stocking some packs. Graded it, got a 10, sold it. Didn't care for it. Wanted the cash so that I could go and buy our box. Will forever stand by that.
Yeah, I got the card just because I needed it for the master set. But the very first card I got from Obsidian Flames was a giveaway that I won on Whatnot. And the very first giveaway I won on Whatnot as well, which was the Golden Charizard. And I will stand on business saying that that golden card is better and is the best Charizard in the set.
There are some really good gold cards in the SV era as well. Another great one there. One that I think I really, really love is one that a lot of people don't love. Actually, 2, because I can think of them both now. One of them is the Veluza illustration rare. I love that card, and I think that card and that Pokemon don't get anywhere near enough love. Veluza was in my Scarlet team and was an absolute boss. It's a water psychic type, fantastic. The second one that I really love from the SV era is the Chien Pal SIR. I think it's great. I think it's a great card. Yeah. And I've seen a lot of people poop on it because they don't like the Pokemon. If there is a saber-toothed tiger with sword for fangs, you are wrong to say it's anything other than absolutely phenomenal. All right? First one of the episode, there it is.
We've had this discussion, and I totally agree with you, Mush. And look, they get a bad rep, and I can totally agree, and we've discussed it between us 3 before. They're not the best legendaries. They're not. And some people say that Chien Pao is the best of a worst bunch. But still, and I will stand by Mush on this, even if it is the best of a worst bunch, you put that on its own, it's still an epic Pokemon. I think its design, its typing, everything about it is awesome. I think it's really cool. And I think it gets an equally bad rap as the rest because it's part of the 4 of them. I actually think it's a really good Pokemon.
for sure.
Yeah. What I really like about this era as well is that it seemed to bring the most sort of like art rares and in some instances special art rares for Pokemon that you wouldn't necessarily expect normally.
Mm.
Like when we were talking like
Yeah.
Paldea Evolved, immediately I pinged to the Tropius art rare. I think that's an absolutely stunning card,
Incredible
and
card.
it's a Pokemon that most people don't particularly care
I
about.
absolutely
And
love
then
Tropius. It hurts me to
yeah.
think that there are people that don't love that Pokemon.
But it's like we had him in Paldea. There was the Clamperl in Destined Rivals that I actually think is a beautiful
Clamperl.
card.
Stunning card.
And just like I feel like this was the era where they actually did try to shine a bit more light on other Pokemon. It wasn't always like, yes, we did have a Charizard set, but it wasn't like every set, here's a Charizard you need to chase now. It was like it felt like there was a bit more variety, bit more balance. And like I always say, I love the idea of like either someone coming back into the hobby or like a kid starting off getting that first art rare of a Pokemon they probably may not have even heard of, and then that becoming their favorite Pokemon because they've had that card that actually does it justice. And I feel like the art rares that we've had in this era have all been like pretty fantastic.
Absolutely. And you're looking at some of the like middle era sets as well. Like you said, that there were Pokemon that I don't think I would have ever cared for until I pulled the card and I was like, you are stunning. The Excadrill just sitting there having lunch with all the diggers is
Yeah,
incredible. The Reuniclus that is just floating along on the water is one of my favorite cards. The Garbodor that's just sat on top of the trash heap from Paradox.
Yeah.
These cards of Pokemon that not many people would love or care for are some of the best arts. And the best part of them is they're not the big SIR that everyone is chasing, but you pull it and it's like a massive win because the artwork is incredible.
Mm.
And just to touch on one little point that's an extension of what you said, I love that some of the either, like I said, second evolution or mid evolutions were getting love as well. Like a card I posted today, the Macho, that's just going around the house. And some of the evolution lines and some of the Pokemon that are highlighted would never get a highlight. And I was like, do you know what? It's actually good to see some variation,
I
not
think
just focusing on Zara.
I think you've hit the nail really well on the head there, and it's like they did the starter trio from Scarlet and Violet all got the art rares, and they were beautifully done. Same with the Ralts Curlier Gardevoir one. That's another fantastic one that went through. There were so many that they had put into position that were just sublime. Another one, the Marrel, where he's holding his own tail and just floating away. It's another great card. I've got so much editing to do if I'm going to flash all of these up at one time. So thanks, all three of us. And while we talk about art rares and SIRs and who got the best one, I think it's a really good way for me to top on my little captain's hat and segue us in to talking about Black Bolt and White Flare, because there are too many art rares. There are, I can't remember the specific number, it's over 150.
156, I think.
There you go, it's 156 art rares. There is one for every Pokemon in the set. And my question to you chaps that we're going to discuss now, where do Pokemon go from here? Because if we've now got a set that is essentially 500 odd cards long, including all the art rares, commons, reverses, holos, and secret rares, etc., etc., where do we go from here? Because when we go into the megas, if they're setting a standard right now, for me personally, with Black Bolt and White Flare having this many art rares, I want a mega in every pack. I want 3 megas in every booster box, or like full art megas, etc., etc. Because if we're going back to mega style, are we also going to have half megas and full art megas like we had previously? I'm going to flash up the 2 Sizzle ones, because they're the 2 that I can think of where you've got a half one and a full one, both from Breakpoint. So where do we go from here? What do you see coming from now? Because I feel like we said in the previous episode that art rares have been cheapened by having so many. Like a reverse holo and a holo now are guaranteed, so they mean practically nothing.
Yeah.
So for you boys, Ed then Tone, where do you feel like we go from here now?
I'd really like to see it stripped back personally. Like, I feel what they've done with Black Bolt and White Flare is massively ambitious, and I absolutely tip my hat to them, because 156 like full art of whatever capacity, like that is mammoth. And if anyone out there is crazy rich or dedicated enough to do the master set, my God, what a beautiful master set you're going to have. But alongside that master set, you also have Pokeballs, you also have Master Balls, you have Hollows. I mean, some of the most stunning Hollows, but you also have Reverse Hollows. It's just like it. We've gone so far away from like the simplicity of base set, where it's like you have non-shiny cards, and then you have beautiful shiny cards, and that's it. I'd really like to see a bit more of a return to. I don't even. I'm probably going to get crucified for saying this, but I don't actually want to see like a full art mega card. I would love to just see the ones where it's breaking out of the card fully, but not being a full art, just so that we have that sort of that difference. Because like we all post our cards on Instagram, for instance, it's like it's got to the point where you see a full art or an art rare, even a special art rare, and it doesn't pack the same punch as it did at the start of the era. Because it's like in Sword and Shield, you'd hit like if you hit an alternate art. I mean, A, you are the luckiest man alive, but B, it really meant something, and like it was something that obviously not everyone else had, but also there weren't many things like it. And then coming into Scarlet and Violet, it sort of feels like you can hit like a full art of some degree fairly easily, which is great in terms of like the collecting and like if you're building master sets or you just want that little serotonin hit, it's great. But because there's so many of them, they sort of almost are becoming for me what like a hollow or like a standard EX is now, because it's like, yeah, they're great, but unless it's a Pokemon I particularly care about, it's a bit like, all right, it just doesn't give me that same fulfillment. So I'd really like to see the next era get like stripped back quite a bit, make it a bit simpler, and almost make the simple things better and just make them mean something again, so that we can almost like rebuild, and then that sets us up for like future eras and generations as well. Because I mean, at this rate, they've just introduced a new rarity in Black Bolt and White Flare. It's like immediately art rares have shunted down one, like EXs have shunted down. It's just they just add stuff on top instead of making the existing better, in my opinion. So I'd really like to see it stripped back and almost go back to basics and see what works again.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think it needs to start taking. This is more looking at English here, what I'm about to say, but I think it needs to start taking inspiration from like Chinese here, where it does different styles of follow. So we've all been seeing a lot of Gem 2 packs opened. If you haven't watched Poker Strongman's box opening, go watch it straight after this. But the fact that it has the what Ed described as the crazy hollow design, which had it all moving in all different directions, and it was like kaleidoscopic. And then you had Master Ball, you had Pokeball, but different variations. And I like that some of the recent sets are changing up the different Master Ball and Pokeball ways and bringing it into English. But again, it's simple different changes to the style of card we've already got. I would also like to see it stripped back a bit. I think as a community, and not people that are just in it for money, because I'm looking at some of you because I know the ones that complained about Stellar Crown. Stellar Crown was an incredible set, but it didn't have nowhere near the amount of SIRs and art rares and that some of the others do. But it was so much easier to complete and get your hands on that every art rare or big card pulled felt like a massive win. And I remember everyone being really happy with that set and some of the cards that you could get in that. And Journey Together was similar in that. Not a massive set, not a big set full of loads of art rares and loads of SIRs. Like the SIR count being 6 and that is it is a nice number. As soon as it reaches the 10s, 11s, 12s, that was similar to what Twilight Masquerade and the 35,000 that Prismatic had, it diminishes it a whole lot and makes it feel a bit demoralizing because you're just pulling a Master Ball or a Pokeball. And no, a Pokeball card is not a big hit. I'm looking at you, Chris. It is just it's kind of a wind up, if anything. Like it is like saying that these are the big hits that we have in all the sets, but because there's EVs in this one, be happy with a regular bordered card and just accept that it has a Pokeball on it.
I just wonder when you're going to put the rifle down and stop firing shots off at Prismatic and Chris for his love of
Never.
Pokeball hits. Never.
Oh, I love Chris to bits, but until
But
we
stop loving Pokeballs.
actually learn,
I think I love how, we always kind of have the same opinion but with slight variations, and I really really resonate with everything that both of you have said, and I fully agree that I want to see simplicity brought back into the TCG. I feel like I bang on about it every time, but because I enjoy it so much, I'm going to. Gloria Team Rocket, the only reason I wanted to master it is because the commons were so nice that when I did rip a few packs of it, I was for like, I want them all. And I think that as we go into whatever this next era is going to be, this next gen, I really would like less art res. Megas, I would like a full art mega. I'm sorry, Ed, but there's a couple of them I really like the Scizor from Breakpoint, all-time favourite, love that one. But 3 in the whole set. Do it a really small number. Make them special again. Make Pokemon great again. I feel disgusting. Right. But
I've got an idea. Very, very quickly, we talk about little bits of variation and keeping it simple. How about having like a rare pool instead of being a hollow? Would it not be interesting if all the cards are the classic, what they are now, silver bordered, square bordered as they are, rectangle bordered as they are, but then some cards in the set will be like an E series version.
Oh, stop it!
Don't say
How about
don't say E series and don't expect me to sit here like my hands are here. Let's move on quickly from E series, okay? Aquapolis has my heart.
I would love them to throw back to that for the 30th celebration. Like, just imagine
Yeah.
the absolute scenes if they're like, oh yeah, by the way, here are some EVs.
But not every card in the set. Just it'll be like a rare. Like it wouldn't be a hollow rare. Some of them might be hollow.
It would actually be rare.
It would just be like
it would actually be a rare card.
Yeah.
I just really hope we don't get serialized cards. I think the second that happens, like, it's game over for all of us.
Yeah, I think for me, if we're like looking into the future, we're obviously going to have 30 years celebration set come out soon. That's going to be a big set, and we had the reprint of base set a couple of years ago. I can never remember the set name. One of you two knows it.
Evolution.
Thank you. So we had Evolutions, which was a reprint of base, and I really enjoyed that. Very cool. Give me Aquapolis as a reprint. Call it whatever you want. Don't care. I am feeling very. It's like ambivalence. I'm sad that this one's ended, but I'm really stoked that we're going into the new one. I want them to simplify it. I know they won't, but regardless of how I feel, I am feeling positive about it. And it's funny that once again, I've slipped my hat on, I've felt positive, and I drive us forward like the train driver of Segway Kings that I am. Hoot hoot. Because this week, we are not moaning, we are not sad, we are not down. We are just boning with positivity as we go into a room with Tone and he tells us all of the good stuff.
Okay, so I know you're all used to me having a right little moan, but every 5 episodes, we are going to try and make you guys very happy and speak about the positivity. So as we have been speaking about it, let's speak about Scarlet and Violet. It has been such a wonderful era for some of the sets that have come out. We already spoke about it. It gave a highlight to some of the cards you'd never think would be highlighted. And it was so lovely coming back into this hobby. All 3 of us came in during the Scarlet Violet era. And we got to witness something that when we were in this hobby, we never got to see before. And being able to open packs, getting 2 reverse hollows, even that alone was like a little big win. And it is really exciting to see the growth of Pokemon and what it was compared to what it is now. And we all talk about it. We all love our vintage. We all love our Wizards of the Coast era cards. And it's stuff that may never get beaten for nostalgic reasons in our heart. But getting some of the sets that we have and some of the cards we have, and the new shiny variants, and shout out to Rayquaza, TCG, and the textured cards, the textures we now get on cards. It's special, and it really does give you extra love and appreciation for the cards. And that's the first thing we want to be positive and thankful about. Seeing how this hobby has grown, and it's really important. Next, and I'm looking at these two beautiful lads first off, and then a lot of you that are listening to this, is the incredible friends that we have made along the way. If it wasn't for this hobby, there would be no podcast. There would be no Pokepals. And most of us, as we've said before, all on Instagram, and we wouldn't be doing that if it wasn't for the love of the hobby. And thanks to all of us that have decided to turn around one day and go, do you know what? I want to take photos of these beautiful bits of cardboard. I'm going to post it on this social media app here. Oh, Instagram looks fun. We've all jumped on. We've all found a love for a hobby that is amazing. And yeah, there are things we moan about at times, but none of us would be talking if it wasn't for our love for this hobby, for our love for this community. And it has brought me some incredible friends, and I could reel them off. Pokepals, if you're listening, you know I'm meaning all of you. There are others. Want to give a quick shout out to someone that has been following me literally since day one, and we've messaged back and forth for the last 2 years. Is Pallet Town Puller, absolute legend in the community. You've got Ace Trainer Smug. I could sit here and reel off people for days. People that I've never met in person, but are incredible diamonds of people, so caring, so kind. And I'll use that to segue, sorry, Mush. I'm going to segue into the kindness of this hobby and how people are, when you find the right people and the right caring people, the ones that really love and appreciate the hobby the same as you find people that are not just interested in getting the big shiny cards or showing off the big best hits. You get collectors in a virtual room together talking about what they're collecting and helping each other out. And it's no secret that all of us are in a group chat together, the PokéPals group chat, about 30 of us. And one of the most amazing things about it is, especially the most recent sets, we're all constantly dropping messages in there saying, I need this reverse holo, I need this common, I need this art rare to complete the set. And very, very rarely, when we're doing it over DMs, over stories in our group chats, very rarely in this hobby are you getting hounded for the monetary value of a card. It is for the love of the completion. It is the love for helping your fellow collector. And it's so heartwarming seeing all these stories. Again, to shout someone out, Dave B TCG, who is always back and forth helping people complete their sets. It's these little things. We've got to remember this is a trading card game, and we all started as kids trading them in the playground, and we're back doing it again. Yeah, it's over Instagram now, but you're trading and you're making genuine connections with people, and it's completing sets. Without these people and without the kindness and the goodness in this community, I wouldn't have the master sets I have. And I do, because people are just genuinely kind people, and it really warms my heart. Another thing, talking about when you're getting your trades and your packages from people, a little bonus benefit that I've been asked to shout out is handmade thank you cards and handmade, hand designed energy cards. Now, I personally am awful with this. I can't do it. I did have a printed out logo of my logo that I sent. As you can see, Mush is someone that does it regularly. Ed does it as well. I'm pretty sure I can just literally open my drawer right now, and the first thing I see is a thank you card from Ed. it's and then straight under that, Poker Strongman. I got one from Dill. These little things, it's just it again. It's just so heartwarming, and it's the little things. Stay nerdy. Shout out Nerdy Side Up and Mush, you're in here somewhere because you've given me about 4 or 5. But it's these little things that just them added little bonuses, added little cards in packages. It's the nice things, it's the small things, and it really does cheer us up. So if you do add these little extras, or if you're someone that adds stickers in, or someone adds Halloween packs, I know there are people that do that. These little added bonuses and extras, thank you for your kindness, for your thought, for your caring personality, and just being genuinely amazing. And I'm sorry if anyone's recently got a package off me, because I used to do similar and dropped off because I've not restocked. So I will be looking at doing that soon. Talking about connections, I want to now talk about in-person connections. Now, the three of us still haven't met in person, but we've all been to or are planning to go to card shows, and it is one of the most positive, best, amazing experiences about being in this community. Not only are you going and seeing cards in person and are able to speak to vendors and get a general what do you want, where do you want to buy from, and a feel of you're going there and picking up exactly what you want, how you want to. You go to a card show when you're in this hobby that everyone's an online persona, and you're meeting people that you speak to regularly in person, face to face for the first time. And I remember my first London card show. It was mind blowing. And I got to see loads of people that I had made very close bonds with, getting to see them in person. And it is one of the best feelings. Getting to meet people in this community that you speak to day in, day out, but you rarely see them face to face day in, day out, because one of us lives down here and one of us lives right up there. Yeah, I'm looking at you, Ross, way too far. But you get to see these people in person, and it is an incredible feeling. And often it feels like you've known each other for years, and in reality, you've only just been chatting on the internet for a couple of months. But this hobby and this being in a hobby where you're so dedicated to what you're collecting, and it just this community brings you that so much closer, and it's such a great thing to feel. So again, if you haven't been to a card show, I highly recommend it. And if you ever do see me at a card show, I'm very extroverted. Do not be shy. Come say hello to me. I will try not to chew your ear off or jump and hug you and be too in your face for any of you introverts out there. But I will dial it down. But come say hello. I love it when people see me at a card show and recognise me. It is just the best feeling. It gives me so much more love for this community. So thank you for everyone that I have met, and can't wait to see most of you that I haven't yet.
If you want to see us at a card show, you can see all three of us host a live podcast at the Wolverhampton Card Show, Saturday, August 30th at the Manda Centre, because I remembered where it is this week. Yay! That was it. I just wanted to interrupt to do that. I think this is my favourite segment we've done in a while, when we just talk about all the beautiful things that are in our hobby.
It's good.
I
It
absolutely love
feels
it,
good
and
to not be so
everything
negative.
you've said is bang on. Absolutely.
Thank you. And the last thing, I'm going to end it out now because it is very nice, very positive. And literally the last point I've got is someone just messaged me today saying, without this hobby, there is no community. Without this community, there is no us. And I don't just mean the podcast. And I don't just mean the PokéPals group chat. There is no us. If it wasn't for all of us deciding to post these photos online, we would just be maybe quite happy still, but we would just be nerdy little collectors in our bedrooms, opening a pack, putting it in a binder, and then done. Joining the community like we have has given us a way to commune with fellow like-minded people, which has, again, brought group chats out, brought lives, brought card shows, and has thankfully brought two lovely men and this idiot right here together to create a podcast for you guys. And like they said, without this hobby, there'd be no us. and I leave it there.
Just before you decide to do, my shtick and steal my segue thing and give it to Ed, how can you
I'm not
say
gonna-
two lovely blokes and an idiot? Because I'm an absolute moron. So unless there's two Eds and a you, I don't know where you're getting that maths from. Your maths is off. I think it's actually
You're
two
the idiot, you
two
sort of
legends and a
old.
mush. All right. It is. It's really nice to hear the positivity, and every 5 episodes, like Tone said, we're going to bring you the best from our community, from our hobby, from Pokemon, from the things that we experienced throughout it. And it's really nice to be able to look back and not just go, "Oh, this was shit. This was crap. Didn't enjoy that. Oh, prismatic." It's nice to be able to turn around and go, "Oh, do you know what? I absolutely love that card. I love this interaction that I've had with this person. I've loved that I've managed to meet, 20, including you two, 7 other people in a group chat that you can talk to day in and day out." And I'm not going to be somebody that sugarcoats it. Life can be overwhelming. Too many on my phone can drive me absolutely mental. But, there are times where that mentality goes because the positivity that is pushed into me through other nerdy little collectors that want to open packs and put them in a binder fuels me. It's genuine, heartwarming positivity that slides into my universe and warms my soul and makes every day a little bit more worthwhile. It is like getting a hug off a Magmar. It is hot stuff, and I am here for it. And it's hard to say anything extra. I think the only thing that... Are you all right? Have I broken you a little bit there? Are we going back to Sophie Ellis Collector again? Are we on that?
I'm keeping it calm.
All right, no worries.
I'm
Just
keeping it
just
calm.
checking in on you. Ed's been muted for 3 minutes. Has just been holding it in. And just the only thing I want to add on the end of it is that I am eternally grateful to everyone I've met, everyone that I've spoken to, everyone that I've dealt with, traded with, sold to, bought from, hung out with, planned to be around. I'm grateful that we have the opportunity to come on here every couple of weeks and do a full podcast. And I'm grateful that there are nearly 100 people on here that want to sub to us on YouTube, over 150 people on Instagram that want to follow us. If you haven't already, hit the sub button, click the like, do all that stuff. Go and find us on Instagram because genuinely it means the world. The more that you do, the more we will match it and expand on it massively. The podcast is not just to talk about Pokemon. It's a passion project. We are here for the long haul. We will be here long into the hundreds of episodes and long before my Cubone head goes on to my children. It is a beautiful, beautiful community, and everybody, all I can say is, we love you. Thank you so much. And now moving swiftly onwards, because I don't know how to segue from love to strong analytics, we're going to step away and go and look at all the best and greatest things from the SMV era. So Ed, with the strongest analytics, take it away.
Welcome back to the Strongest Analytics, the only segment where market trends get bench pressed and the hard truths get the non-hollow rare treatment. Today, we're going to take a trip down memory lane and look into the biggest hitters from the Scarlet and Violet era. I know my Setco stickler scallywags out there can't
Oh,
wait.
you've broken him.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. It's because in my head I knew the set code sticklers thing was coming and it just broke me a little bit more. Oh.
This is staying in, by the way.
Oh.
This is our clip for the week. You better not remove this. This stays in.
It was just a get the non-hollow rare treatment. I don't know why it was just... Oh, that was great. Oh.
We interrupt these analytics because Mush can't breathe.
Oh. Have you been injured in an accident that wasn't your fault? Have you struggled to breathe?
Call Strongman Analytics for you.
Oh. All right, I'm sorry. Please, Ed, carry on. What set code sticklers are we picking on this week?
Well, for my set code stickler scallywags out there, I know you're waiting with bated breath as we've got a whole era to cover off. We're going to be breaking down the 3 most expensive cards and the 3 most expensive master sets of this era. This is all going to be excluding promos, and I'm sticking to English. Sorry, simplified Chinese Mew. My wallet continues to cry over the thought of you. So kicking things off, in third place we have the Sylveon EX SIR from Prismatic Evolutions, the set that caused half of collectors to enter therapy, and Lucifer himself refers to as SV 8.5. This sadly won't be the only time we see traumatic evolutions in today's analytics, but is a necessary evil to ensure these cards can't hurt you more than the set already has. The
I'm
Sylveon
so sorry. I'm going to pause you this time. I've now got an image. I'm just sitting here with an image of the Satan from South Park, just sat there with Saddam Hussein ripping Prismatic.
This is going to be one hell of an edit this week, I tell you.
You're leaving it all in. I want this all in.
I'm just picturing it as well, just like, God, the pull rates in this set are really hard. And so, I mean, they're like, hey, Satan, you know what is hard?
Hey, Satan, I just put my poly on.
Oh, God. We'll get to the data in a minute.
I'm sorry, Ed.
No,
I'm sorry.
you're all good. You're all good.
Back on.
The Sylveon EX is actually a surprisingly sought after evolution in this one. The artwork is among the best in the set, in my opinion, and this card can currently be yours for around. Sorry, my eyes are fucking stinging. Wow.
Ladies and gentlemen, I would just like to interrupt this interrupt of a segment that's interrupted a podcast to let you know that we are struggling today.
Oh, God.
I'm just going to flash up on the screen
Wow.
the Sylveon EX SIR from Prismatic Evolutions. This is the card that we are currently discussing. Look at it. Isn't it pretty?
It is a stunning
Isn't
card.
it nice? It is a phenomenal card. There's number 2 for the episode. Has everyone calmed down now? Marvellous. Shall we return to our podcast professionalism? Absolutely. Over to you, Ed.
So this card can currently be yours for around £230, and as one of 32 SIRs, there's no prizes for seeing where this set is going to pop up later, like that rude uncle at a family gathering that you just can't shake. In second place, we actually have...
Is this the strongest analytics, or have you written a stand-up routine this week?
No, it's a stand-up routine with data. It's the most intellectual comedy you can get.
You are the IT crowd in a one human being.
That is the biggest compliment I think I could receive.
Oh.
In second place, we have Team Rocket's Mewtwo EX SIR from Destined Rivals, or SV10 for my set code Sugar Babes. Our love for this card and this set is well documented on the podcast, and it seems that the market agrees with us. The Rocket's Mewtwo will set you back currently around £250, which has actually seen a £10 decrease on when we were discussing this in the last podcast. Recency bias is starting to wear off with this. More cards are circulating as more packs are being ripped, and also graded cards have entered the market, which always sees the raw card sort of dependent on the resale of the actual graded card in a 10. It can sort of sway the overall statistics. It'll be interesting to see what happens and how long Giovanni's greatest weapon holds on to a podium position, with Black Bolt and White Flare still waiting to drop the Forbidden Fruit that is a new BWR rarity tier in English.
I don't think I know anyone that's actually pulled that Mewtwo yet, to be fair. No one.
No, and they certainly haven't mentioned it 84 times a minute.
No, all got it graded, got a 10. No, don't know anyone.
It would be a really big deal if somebody pulled it. A really big deal.
Really massive deal, yeah.
A really, really
The
big
size
deal.
of that deal would be just stupendous. It would be a phenomenal deal.
And before we get into the biggest hit from the Scarlet and Violet era, just wanted to quickly shout out some surprising omissions. We have the Chunky Pikachu from Surgeon Sparks, the card that first saw the market go crazy. The Bubble Mew from Paldean Fate, one of my favourite cards from the era. The Greninja from Twilight Masquerade, one of the few Terra Pokemon that I think actually looks pretty good. All of these, I was actually surprised to see didn't scrape the top 3 when you think of how mad people sought after them at the time. Granted, we didn't have the full era to look at, but still, I mean, that Chunky Pikachu, most mid-design going, but people went feral for it, so I thought it was a banker for the top 3. Seeing Sylveon in
That
it.
Chunky Pika was the start of the downfall and the introduction of scalpers galore. Let's be honest.
Absolutely, it was.
I just don't care. Like I am a massive advocate for make Pikachu chunky again. If that is a hashtag movement I can get going, I want Thickachu back. All right, give it to me. All right, but I don't care for the surging Pika. I also think that the Greninja promo from Shrouded is better than the Greninja card from Twilight. Now I know you're not doing promos for this segment, and that's fair
Absolutely.
enough. But I think the only one that surprises me is Bubble Mew. I think the other two doesn't surprise me as much because essentially I would have thought this entire list would have been Evolutions, Mewtwo, Evolutions, some other things.
I was going to say, I was very
I
glad
think-
that it wasn't.
Yeah, I think I agree, kind of, because I think me personally, yes, the only one that surprises me is Mew, but it also doesn't surprise me because I know what the scalpers and
Yeah.
the market did to both the Greninja and Pika. I'm genuinely surprised that Sylveon's higher than both of them.
Yeah, I was really surprised when I was doing the market research for it. Because I mean, the Pikachu you can actually pick up for, I think it's like £180 now, which is pretty mental. And the Greninja's maybe like 190, so it's not even scraping that like £200 mark, which I was positively shocked by. And then when you factor in all of the prismatic SIRs, which I'll get to in a moment, you just think that it's going to bump them further down the list. But I was quite happy to see the Mewtwo get the love it deserves, and also the fact that it's not just end-to-end prismatic. But to the surprise of absolutely nobody, the top dog of the Scarlet and Violet era, of course, is the Teal Mask Ogerpon SIR from Prismatic Evolutions. Oh no, wait. It's the Umbreon again.
I was actually about to be more offended by the Ogerpon than I was going to be the Umbreon. But I'd be like, what is that absolute freak doing at number one? Unbelievable. Sorry, Ed, carry on.
This card was massively hyped from the get-go. It was being dubbed the Moonbreon 2.0, the Sunbreon. It became the beacon of hope for hype beasts and scalpers alike, ready to risk it all for Pokemon's latest cash cow. It's by no means a bad card. I've pulled it in Japanese from Terra Festival. I absolutely love the design of it, and I massively prefer it to the Evolving Skies Umbreon VMAX, the original Moonbreon. That card, overhyped as anything. This one is by no means a bad card, but it debuting in the market at over £1,200 is absolutely ludicrous. This card will currently set you back around £800, so the fact that we saw it go 1,200, 1,500, 1,800, £2,000 at some point, for it now being at £800, does just go to show that like hype does wear off. People are losing it with prismatic, and also just like these massively overinflated prices in general. I mean, the fact that we've seen like Japanese cards debuting in the market at the same price as English, we're seeing a card from a set like the Pikachu debuted at like £500 or £600 pre-release, and then the Moonbreon or Sunbreon being £1,200 from the get-go. Like, it's no wonder that a lot of collectors have been turned off from the hobby, and it's unfortunate to see another Pokemon get this kind of hype treatment of markets going crazy before it's released, like the Surging Sparks Pika and any set that's featuring a Rayquaza or Charizard Mega Era. I'm looking at you. When we look at master sets, they follow a very similar sort of pattern, but in third place we have 151. £1,100 for the master set if you were to buy it on eBay. There are quite a lot of big hitters in this set. Obviously, it's the set that got Gen 1 kids collecting again. There's a whole heap of nostalgia in this set. Some beautiful artworks. My favourite of which is actually the Dragonair. I think that is one of the single most beautiful cards ever created. And then we get into the Blastoise and the Venusaur. It's a set full of nostalgia, full of beautiful artworks, and it scratches that nostalgia itch for all the Gen 1 kids.
I just want to say one thing. 151, all the starters fantastic. All of the others fantastic. Zapdos is the best card in this set, hands down. And then it's the Arbok Full Art EX, and then the rest. Personal choices.
Agree. Personal choice, maybe. I won't agree. I'm not saying it's a bad card. I think it is an incredible card. but I think that set is so filled with incredible cards from a nostalgic point of view. I think the simplicity of just an Alakazam sitting in a kitchen spinning some spoons in his hand is,
It is a
I
great
think
card.
it's just such a great card. Again, I've said it before, I'll say it again, that Blastoise for a
Yeah.
Squirtle boy is perfect. It is perfection. And just little stuff. For me, it's the details of some of the cards. The Pikachu crossing the road with all the other Pokemon in the background, absolutely
Yeah.
stunning. That could have been an SIR of its own. The As much as everyone hates the Pokemon most of the time, Mr. Mime playing Mime chess with the other Mimes,
I think that's a
the
great card.
details in these cards,
Mm.
incredible.
The Poliwhirl as
The
well.
Poliwhirl's great. The
Like,
Dragonair's
Oh,
great.
Polly,
They're
wow.
fantastic cards. In fact, I actually
Sorry,
think the
Kurt, but
Charizard's
the
the worst
Poliwhirl is
one.
beautiful.
yeah.
The Charizard that
But
looks
as
like
well,
this.
I
I
find
agree.
it, as we discussed earlier, though, I find it also interesting the Pokemon that they did choose to give like the art rares to in this set. And when you think it's like you've got Poliwhirl,
Tangela.
you got Tangela, you got Omanyte, you've got like Mr. Mime. The obvious ones that have like you'd have expected like a Gengar, you'd have expected a Snorlax that wasn't the promo, you'd have expected like maybe, I mean me personally, a Machamp, but then it was lovely to see Nidoking get such a beautiful card.
Yeah.
So I think 151, through all the faults that we've had in terms of like getting the product, how badly it was scalped, it has been a beautiful set, and it's easy to see why so many people got back into collecting following it.
But again, I'm just going to add a caveat in there. 151 wasn't so madly scalped until the back end of 2024. This set released as a reminder in September 2023, and it was readily available to get your hands on. You could get booster bundles and VTBs and blisters and packs very easily for almost a year. Wasn't until the back end of last year that it went a bit tits up.
No, I remember going into Smith's Toys, like looking to pick up a game or something, and just seeing UPCs sat there with like discount stickers on them because like nobody
Yeah.
was buying it for ages, and then all of a sudden it just sort of seemed there was like a second switch, and then that was it. Everyone just went mental for it.
Oh, somebody pulled a Charizard and put it on
And
eBay for 400 quid, and then somebody was like, "That's a great
That's it.
price."
And now there are certain shops out there that go to the back doors of Costco and stop other people getting stuff.
Really stopping
It's not a moan
collectors.
week. I'll pass it back over to you, Ed.
In second place, we have Destined Rivals. So this set to buy completed or have like the rough valuation is £1,600. This is the most stunning set of Scarlet and Violet in my opinion. Fantastic chase cards, common artworks are second to none. Yes, there's a bit of recency bias in there, so we can expect this to fluctuate by like a few £100, but I reckon quite comfortably it will stay above the £1,000 mark just because of the sheer weight that the SIRs in this set have, and also just the complete set as a whole. This is one that I cannot wait to have the finished master set of, to just get to flick through occasionally and just marvel in how fantastic it is. And to the surprise again of absolutely nobody, in first place, the most expensive master set of the era is Prismatic Evolutions. So this one, to buy completed or the rough valuation, is £3,800. This is the biggest set, 32 SIRs, 100 Pokeballs, 67 Master Balls. The overall master set for this is over 455 cards, not including promos. What's interesting as well here is third and first place are both special sets. So obviously I think something that does impact the overall like standing and value of the set is the fact that to complete Prismatic or 151, that is a lot of booster bundles, that is a lot of ETBs, no such thing as loose packs unless they've been broken down from other products. So that really does play a part in like sort of the overall value of the completed master set. And there we have it for this week's Strongest Analytics. With the English release of Black Bolt and White Flare just a few weeks away, we could see this list shake up massively, with the 156 art rare or above cards landing on July 16th. For me personally, though, I'd like to thank the Scarlet and Violet era for everything that it brought us. It got me back into the hobby. I met the most incredible people in my co-host, the Pokepals, and the wider community. It also saw me step out of my comfort zone and start my own YouTube channel. And alongside these gorgeous gentlemen, it brought us the PokéPals podcast. Despite everything around the scalping, the shortages, and the silly shittery of the market, Scarlet and Violet will always be looked at through a rose-tinted glass for me. Some fantastic sets and some even better memories. Before I get moved to tears with all this reminiscing, let's take a look back at the results of last week's little card of ours.
Thank you ever so much, Ed, for your ever so glowing, glorious, strongest analytics. If you want to see Ed do live stand-up, come to the Manda Centre on August the 30th on the Saturday, because clearly he is getting ready for it. Now, this week on this little card of ours, we have seen a pure shift of momentum. And, you know, we're not in the land of people that pay for followers and subscribers, but I do believe that maybe one of us might have paid for some voters, because it's a bit of a landslide. So, previous week we had me and my Dark Steelix from Team Rocket Returns.
Me and my Giovanni's Nido King.
And we had me with just a little card of this beautiful Magikarp right here.
Yeah, really smashing the humble there, Tone.
Yes.
So,
Well, I'm just going to put it out here. The last couple of weeks where people have won, they've rubbed it in. And I won the first week, and I got told I had to sit here quiet, and I did. So guess what?
I put my
Ladies
hands
and
up last
gentlemen, your winner, your glorious champion of this week is this beautiful Magikarp card. Thank you all for voting with your brains and not with these two lovely lads, but you voted knowing what card is the special one. Thank you all.
I love that Tone just went full Paul Heyman on you then, Mush.
Yeah,
you were about to announce...
Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Paul Heyman.
I love that literally just
After
before...
the 2 weeks I've had... Sorry, go on.
I came last and Ed came second.
After the 2 weeks that I've had, where
I
I got
even
told
said-
I had to stay quiet. I got told I had to stay quiet, and I did. And then the next one, Mush came and went, I don't care, I'm announcing it, I've won. Last time, Ed, I've won, ha ha ha. And I sat here, and waited. I waited for today. 12 years in Azkaban, I waited.
Did Tone just cut a pipe bomb?
John Cena turned heel, but Tone turned healer. Jesus Christ. I literally said last week how that I needed to be humble and I apologise for my performance, and you've just come at me quicker than Goldberg coming for Gunther's title. Jesus Christ.
Hey, I've been positive. This is what happens when you don't have a moan zone. I need to get it out somewhere.
Christ. I'm actually worried that if I turn around that Bubba Ray's going to be waiting the other side of a table for me, because you've just set me up for a cutter. Jesus Christ. Well, after that absolutely outrageous Paul Heyman-esque promo that's just been pulled on myself and Ed, we must now step up to the plate with brand new, shiny pieces of cardboard to take on Tone and his magical fish. So, this week, No, you've had your moment, alright? Get back in your box, young man, alright? I'm not going to have it anymore. Cut the mic, be quiet. I can mute you, I hold that power. Right?
That's right, I'll mute myself. I'm just going to leave the magic up there.
Just why don't you put it over your face? There you go, just, stay there. So, for this week...
No authority here, Jackie Weaver. No authority.
Who is she? Right, now that I've composed myself. Now, this week, I didn't really know what to pick. And last week, or 2 weeks ago previous, at time of recording, I went vintage. And I thought, I'm going to stand my ground. And I'm going to stick with vintage. Now, there is one particular Pokepal out there that is going to be really, 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 really pleased that I've picked this. And I'm coming at Ed, and then coming at Tone violently, because of that promo, with the Rocket Sneasel winner stamped promo from the Best of series. This is a fantastic card. The artwork is brilliant. That shiny gold stamp is there. And a vote for Sneasel is a vote to remove Tone from top spot. So I'm going with Rocket Sneasel. Shout out Joshy Wah.
I am not even sure if I'm going to show up this week, but here we go. So I'm just going to tease it a little bit by just flashing the old back there. Just nice little old back Japanese for us.
I love it when you flash your back.
The bareback here. And then the grand reveal, it is only the original Sugimori Snorlax old back vintage hollow stunning piece of not only art but Pokemon history. I think it doesn't get more iconic than the big boy himself here. Look at the crazy hollow, look at the old back, and ask yourself, does Tone deserve to remain on top? The answer is no, but we will give it to the audience to decide.
We would say
do the
look
right
at
thing.
we would say look at the back of Tone's card, but you'll just find the back of a Kanto Forge. It's just a plain white one. It's not even. So this week, if you want to vote for Tone and his magic fish, me and my Sneasel, or Ed and his wonderful Ken Sugimori Snorlax Japanese with the old back, you can head over to the PokéPals podcast on Instagram and cast your vote right now. In fact, go.
All I'm gonna
pause.
say,
Go.
guys,
No. You had your pipe bomb. You be quiet until we get to the next segment, young man.
I haven't had my promo of the week, okay? All I did was the results. My promo is, guys, we haven't had someone stay on top for 2 podcasts in a row. Make the right choice. Make the right choice.
For the first time in 5 episodes, I've leant forward in my chair. That's how outraged I am by your behaviour in this segment this week.
I just
And allow
love
me
that
to
he's
lean
been
back.
at death's door with man flu, and yet he finds the strength to be an absolute shithouse in this segment.
This is worse than John Cena versus the Nexus. This is outrageous. This is Super Tone at its very best. So as we say, pause right now, nip over to the PokéPals podcast Instagram, vote for your favourite. Will it be me? Will it be Tone? Will it be Ed? We'll find out next week. Now, as we come away from cards of our own, and we segue our way into cards that we're going to open, because we have been very, very graciously given some packs by Koi Cards, some absolute legends in the game. They have donated us some packs to rip here live on the podcast. So all 3 of us now, we're going to nip down to the nearest riverbank, whip our rods out as we go fishing for hits. Welcome to a brand new segment here on the podcast where we go fishing for hits. A big, big shout out to our friends at Koi Cards who have sent us over some packs to open here on the podcast. Now, we have been very, very lucky that these guys have been very generous and sent us off some packs. We did open some packs off that we have opened on Reels over on Instagram, so if you want to go check that out, you can nip over there now. You can go and follow them at Koi Cards on Instagram. We will also link their website in the description down below. Or, if you're really clever, you'll be able to follow this QR code from the video right now. Go and follow their socials, go and look on their website, go and order yourself some really, really cool Japanese product. Now, last night a DGen saved my life with a pack. Not my words, the words of Sophie Ellis Collector. Now, there is one glory of Team Rocket, one Black Bolt, one White Flare. There is a desperation in me to pull something that I need for my master set, so if either of you two do anything dangerous and dirty like pull a Mewtwo on me, I'm going to cry. Now, I know that it's one from the back in this. Is it 2 from the back in these? I'm sure we confirmed this.
I think it's just 1.
Well, we're going to find out because these have got 7 and these have got 5. So, without further ado, finalement, let's get into these bad boys. And I'm not going to do what I normally do, which is try and be really, 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 really gentle and rip the strip. Because every time I do that, I end up making myself look like I don't know how to open packs. Yeah, all right, Sizzle.
You know me?
Who gave you a metal coat?
Yeah, 1 from the back. Ooh, Orbital. Very interesting.
Oh,
we've all got a
hang
Nido.
on.
Love that.
Schmoliv.
The tension.
Yeah, this is
Little
where suddenly the
Yukimori there.
podcast goes
Love that.
quiet. Mankey.
Rattata.
All right, I think there's one more. Right?
Yep.
Who wants to go first?
Here we go.
Oh, Ed,
Go
you
on,
can
Ed.
go first. You started talking.
Oh,
Ooh.
Persian EX.
Oh,
Go on then,
Persian
Tone.
EX. I'll go next. Just a goal bet.
Oh, and then Mush.
What's he got?
Porygon Z.
2.
Or 2.
Oh, Z.
Oh,
Okay.
one of the Porries. Oh.
Ed with the
Ed takes
the best
Ed
hit so
takes the
far.
dub in that round of Team Rocket. It's a
Took
big
the dub
shame.
on Insta as well. This is
Koi,
a
I
show.
need you to send me the Mewtwo. You were supposed to send me the Mewtwo. If you, next time, yeah? Next up, Black Bolt. Will any of us be as lucky as Chris and pull a God Pack? So we're assuming
gonna
it's
do it
one
right
from
now.
the back, right?
I think so.
I've only opened one pack of this since its release. I am struggling for strength like a nun
Get
meeting the
yourself
Lord.
prepped.
Yeah, I would, but my scissors are in the other room, so I'm not going to, so shut up. God, that was slightly shiny then. I was panicked that I'd pulled a God Pack. I was about to cry. I've got a Moongus.
Maractus.
Larvesta.
Pampo,
Fracture.
Carablast,
Servine.
Taramuka.
Ordino.
Cuptoad.
Oh, hello.
Oh, what's that?
Is that Solosis?
Oh, very nice.
Or Duosion?
Duosion.
That's that's Duosion.
I got a Pokeball, which is hard to see. Crocorock.
No.
I got a Pokeball Lilligant.
Cobalion.
Ooh!
Oh, I got a Hollow
I got a
Conkeldurr.
Chandelier.
That Hollow style coming back is fantastic.
Yeah, I love
think I'm
that.
gonna have
And
to-
I love Chandelier. Oh, I've got another card.
Yeah, it's 2 from the back then, boys.
2 from the back.
It's 2 from the back.
Still not bad.
Oh, I love that.
I love that Pokeball style.
I am going to say,
And that Hollow
I love the
is-
way that at Packs with Wits, me and Mush have got not much, and Ed has had.
Yeah, Ed has
2
now
full
had 2
arts
full
and
arts and a Hollow, and me and Toad have managed to get absolutely zilch. Which means obviously White Flare is going to bless us.
I'm taking that as a win. Like, I love Chandelier, and that is having my first of these hollows as Chandelier. I think I'm buzzing with that.
Realistically, none of us can really say anything other than we are grateful because, as again I said at the start
Very
and I said at the end,
Very
Koi cards have been
grateful.
absolute legends and blessed us with these. And every 5 episodes, we will go fishing for hits, courtesy of Koi cards. So big shout out to them. Go and follow them. Go on their website. Order some stuff from them. Maybe at some point we'll sort out a promo code. You know.
Maybe.
He's probably now watching the podcast like, oh, great, Mush has sold us down the river with a promo code.
These guys.
Cheeky git. All right, here we go. Final one. White
There's
Flare.
2 from the back, yeah?
2 from the back.
Okay.
I'm just praying that one of us does the
Is it
2 from the
God pack?
back and then shows it to the screen and it's...
Is it a God pack?
No.
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 That was such an elegant
God.
way for us all to do it. Braviary.
Gardevoir.
Got again. Stunfisk.
Sawsbuck.
Trainer. Scraggy.
Joltik.
Is that
Oh,
Swaggle?
Woggenroller. What a great Pokemon.
I got Vanillite and I hate it. Oh, he's got Vanillish.
I got Vanillish.
I got
Oh,
Dano.
that is a...
Oh! Oh, show me.
That's
Is this
sick.
Damn,
If
that's-
I,
that
if,
is
I,
a
if I
very
don't get a
cool
full
art.
art now, I'm going to feel like I've been absolutely done in.
That's a Master Ball.
Ah, that's
Is that a
so
Master
cool.
Ball Purloin?
Yeah.
Oh, very nice.
I
Oh,
got
and then
I got a
an EX
Pokeball
as well.
Sawsbuck
And
and a Hollow Kling Clang.
I got a Zoroark, which is a lovely
Jealous of
colour.
So
Yeah.
I got Sawsbuck
Yeah.
twice in the same pack.
Oh, no way.
Well,
That's so cool.
I mean, it is actually a really nice card art, I have to say. But I can't say that
Again,
I'm not
this is
absolutely
a-
bitter that I haven't been able to pull anything from any of the packs that were given to us. But
I've
again,
just got to say again, it's an artwork where it's just a Pokemon that not many people have got a lot of love for, but the artwork is beautiful.
it is.
Yeah, this
It's
is
an
absolutely
absolute
beautiful.
pleasure to open these packs, and such a massive, again, a massive shout out to Koi Cards, because this really is.
Absolute
It's an
legend.
honour. Like, it's an honour to be sent something and to be able to open something that they have sent us off the back of just being enjoyers and fans of the podcast. So a massive thank you again to Koi Cards. You are
Massive
absolute
thank you.
legends.
Incredible.
I will expect my Mewtwo in the post. But that was us fishing for hits. Who do you think won, and why do you think it was Ed? We'll have to do a recap of what everybody got on the Instagram. We'll do posts of what everybody managed to get from our packs. But again, one more massive shout out to Koi Cards. Thank you very much. You are absolute legends. And now that we have managed to finally save our lives with the DGen, I think it's time for us to take on the burning questions from you guys out there in the Pokemon world and community. Now, we don't have loads of questions, but we have some really good ones. So, if you boys are ready, have finished sleeving up your hits and feeling really proud of yourselves, no, I'm not at all jealous. I'm going to start off this week's questions with a question that's not a question. I want to do a quick shout out to a good friend of ours. Don't know why I did that when I said that. A good friend of ours, strong-chested man. A big shout out to a chap who's just joined the YouTube universe, and I'm going to link his page now. A big shout out to Poké Chris, who has joined us on the YouTube platform. Go and follow Chris, go and subscribe to his channel, go and like all of his shorts and videos. He's got lots of cool things planned for the future, and he's been building up content so that he can bring you a constant supply of fun for your entertainment. So if you haven't already, go and do that. Follow him on Insta, follow him on YouTube, follow him on whatnot if he's still doing that, and just generally be an absolute beauty towards Chris. That's how I wanted to start. We move on to our first big question. I thought it was quite weird that Pokemon did this, but we'll see how you boys feel. How do we feel about Sword and Shield products appearing out of nowhere and having almost 0 hits inside them on the PC?
Yeah, it's very odd that they're not only stumbling across an odd loose booster pack or something. That it's like tins, it's collection boxes, it doesn't seem like it's just a random, oh, we found this in a warehouse. It seems like it's a really weird short reprint for no apparent reason. I mean, it's great getting to open Sword and Shield again, but at the same time, I'm just very curious as to where and how it's come about.
And it's just a bit crazy how I know so many people in the community that have managed to get their hands on some. A lot in our group chat. Massive shout out to Mew22 for letting us all know when it was dropping. And barely any of us got a decent hit. It was like, I understand some of the packs are harder to get hits anyway, but getting next to nothing between about 15 of us, it was absolutely ridiculous. And then seeing other people that weren't in our group also degenning some Sword and Shield packs, also not getting big hits. It makes you wonder, are these just like the dirt packs of a booster box where a hit's already been ripped and you've just put a box together? It does scream of something fishy feels like it's going on here.
I think for me, because I didn't jump in and buy any because I'm trying to be smart at the moment. I find it really disheartening that they can ship these out and they don't have anything in them. I'm not saying that anything should be guaranteed. Not saying that whatsoever. But it really does give the, do you want to buy this meat? I've got it off the back of a van vibe from the bloke that used to come around the council estate every Thursday. You know, here's this PlayStation that's definitely not chipped and robbed. That's that kind of feeling I've got from this Sword and Shield drop. And for me, it's just a bit weird. And I think it's a little bit cheeky to just suddenly be like, "Oh, we've got like 40 tins of brilliant stars. Here you go. Don't know where they came from. Enjoy." It just seems really,
It's just weird.
really odd. It's like if halfway through the next era they go, "Oh, mate, wouldn't believe it, but I've just found like 40 packs of Obsidian Flames just kicking around. Just like, do you want some?" No.
Yeah.
It's weird. Stop behaving like that. You're a grown company.
I'd
Come
say
on now.
Prismatic, but they don't have hits in anyway. So
Yeah, Prismatic and Pokeballs don't count. Shout out, Chris. So I think realistically, none of us really enjoyed that. Moving on, and this question I think is a really good question, and I really like it. When does vintage become vintage? Great question. Now, obviously, what's the era? Wizards of the Coast, vintage. Neo Genesis, Johtonian era, vintage. Emerald. And that whole Hoenn area. Is it vintage yet? Is it?
Yeah,
Go on.
no, I was gonna say I'd say it would be. I think when you start to hit that sort of like 15-year plus, maybe 20-year plus, then like it's impossible to not class it as vintage because it's like it's not like just out of print. It is long gone. Like there are decades out of print sort of thing. I think, yeah, I'd say as a rough rule of thumb that I'd operate on, I'd say anything like 20 years and older is now vintage. 20 to 10, like between 10 and 20 is like mid-era, and then last sort of 5 years is modern.
It's a good way to put it. And before Tone answers, my original question was going to be, is it based on longevity? Is it based on availability? Or is it based on time? Me personally, I'm going on time. I think that the Emerald was 2005. I think it came out around then. As a guess. Don't quote me. Don't hate me in the comments. Say nice things in the comments. So that for me, that's 20 years because we're in 2025. So that for me is like, that's vintage. And anything past that has still got a couple of years before it joins the vintage era. But there are some stuff that I feel like there has to be a gap between mid-era and vintage. There needs to be like an insertable category that's like almost vintage. Obviously not called almost vintage because that's just a crap explanation. But something that's, it's not mid-era anymore because, you're never going to find any Ruby and Sapphire packs. You're not going to find any of that whole era. But like if you go to a few card shows, you might find one or two like at a really big vendor's table. But it's the same with like X and Y, team up, tag team, and all that. You're still going to find a chunk of that about. It's not going to be in print, but there are lots of people that have sat on it and want to sell it at a high price because it's now unavailable. So I would say I'm with Ed's answer. Tone, how do you feel?
I agree. I think it is that sort of like that 20-year and more should be seen as vintage. As someone that dropped off after Neo, I came into this hobby thinking anything that I was one of them ones that thought if it's not WotC or Neo, then it's not vintage. It's just I don't know, and it was a big discussion we had in our group chat. But it should go based off time. The only question I ask is, do you base it by set or do you base it by era? Because you look at something like Scarlet and Violet Era, which is spanned 3 years. So you might say 20 years and up, but an era might be 18 to 21 years old. Like you said, where does that fit? Is that the middle ground? And that's the only thing I'd say is what do you class as? Because I would say, we might say, oh yeah, base is vintage, but you say Wizards of the Coast is a vintage era. You say that Neo is a vintage era. You don't say that Neo Revelations is vintage. You don't just focus on the set itself. You're always talking about the era itself.
I think
that's what you.
I think it's the era. I think to break it down by set would just be you're nitpicking for the sake of nitpicking at that point. Like to say that like Emerald Era, which includes anything from Ruby and Sapphire and that generation, that's now vintage. But anything from like original.
So I'm looking at the eras now. So we would all agree Wizards of the Coast,
Vintage.
Gym Heroes Neo, Legendary Vintage.
Yep.
E-Series
Vintage.
Vintage. Yeah.
Yeah. E-Series Aquapolis
EX Ruby and
Vintage.
Sapphire. EX Ruby and Sapphire is 2003 to 2007. So that is
Oh,
the
wow, that's a big
18
era.
to 22. So it's a big era. So
I
it's
would
a
still say
4-year era.
even though that 2007 is 18 years, I feel like that generation as a whole would fall into the bracket.
Yeah.
Like if in 20 years from now they go, oh well, Scarlet and Violet released in this year and it ended in 2025. Therefore, it's not classed as vintage for another 4 years until its final half gets in. Nah, you've got to give it some leeway. Anything after that I would then start to argue would be, as Ed said, mid-era or
So
whatever.
I would say, because I've seen some of the packs not as freely available, but I've seen some at card shows. This is where we're going to Diamond and Pearl, which is only a 2-year era, 2007 to 2008. But I've seen some Legends Awakened in the wild, and some great encounters, and I'm pretty sure I've opened my own Stormfront back in a card show. And then it goes to Platinum, which is 2009. Heart Gold, Soul Silver, which is 2010.
Yeah,
so they
these
start getting a bit
I think
smaller.
anything post 05 to 07 out of max is
Yeah.
close. It's bordering on vintage,
Mid.
but it's mid-era.
I also feel
But
like
now,
what doesn't help is when we refer to like the WotC sort of era, that's like that, and like up to like Neo is automatically vintage. I almost feel like that needs to have like its own word and its own right, because it's like it's such a short print run of when it was actually from like a particular company or like anything like to me, I'd almost like, just plucking a word out of my head, I'd almost call that like legacy era, because there's no chance
Legacy.
of that
That's what I was thinking.
ever coming back. Not that any of these sets would be, but it's just like that's like so far gone and like unobtainable. Like vintage doesn't do it justice, and like I think like you were saying there, Tone, it's like when you start getting into like Ruby, Sapphire, and Emerald, although that hits the criteria of being vintage because of the age of it, I almost feel like people would be like, yeah, but it's not base set, and it's like, but base set, like nothing other than base set is ever going to be base set because it was the first one.
Yep.
Yeah, and you can't consistently. What's the word I'm looking for? You can't consistently compare everything to base set, because when we get to 30 years and we do celebrations, right, there's going to be some reprints or remodels of something at some point, right? So if it's 30 years old, the first 10 years has got to be vintage by now. If I go and find a 30-year-old jacket somewhere, is that not a vintage garment? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
If you look at cars,
I like
a car that's 15 years old enough is considered vintage.
Yeah, I like what Ed's saying, that it could be a legacy era, so that everything from, let's say, 05 to 93, or 96 when it released, I can't remember which one, that's all legacy era now.
Cards was 99.
Yeah.
Games was 96. Thank you. 99 then. So 99 to 2005, that's all legacy. That's so old now. I'm born in 93. Jesus Christ. I'm ancient, apparently. So that's all legacy. Anything from...
I'm born in 92, so...
Oh, it's only a year. Come on. It's like celebrating having half an
Oh,
inch
man.
on me. Come on. Anything 05 to 10 would then, for me, become vintage. And then the rest of the 15 years would be mid-era to modern.
Yeah.
Is that something we could agree on as a
my
table?
question, I think so. When does mid become modern? Because then you look at X and Y, I would say is still mid, and that ended 2016, so 2014 to 2016.
I would say anything within 10 years, so that would work.
And that's it. It's on the cusp. But the very last set, which again we still see a lot in the wild, is Evolutions. Sun and Moon.
Yeah.
Is that considered modern?
I'd
I'd
just
say just
consider it
about.
shit.
That was 2017 to 2019.
Just consider it a shit set. It was the prismatic of its era. I think it's hard, and I think we could do this. This could be a podcast debate on its own for hours on end.
Yeah.
But it's I think it's almost like to time it, right? Because we've been around since the start of it, right? We're all old enough to know when it began and when it goes, right? But let's say that there's, let's take somebody half my age, so a 16-year-old has been collecting their entire life. Something that's 16 years old now to them, that's vintage. Do you know what I mean? Something that came out in 2009, that's vintage. Whereas to us, that's vintage to mid-era. You know, we've known about it longer, so it's hard to summarize that for the entirety of the hobby. But I think that 30 years, you break it into 10 brackets. So first 10 years is vintage, mid 10 years is mid-era, last 10 years, so from now back to 2015 would be modern. And then every 10 years, it moves up a bracket.
I think it's funny to consider because the modern era is literally just 3 eras: Sun and Moon, Sword and Shield, Scarlet and Violet. That's the only ones that are modern. And Sun and Moon is a big push, realistically. We're only doing it because we're saying a 10-year date, but it does already feel very outdated.
I can't disagree. It does. But we've tried. We've tried to organise it from vintage to modern. This one I think is going to be a great question because it's just one word and a question mark that was given to us. If you can guess who gave it to us, we don't have to answer it. Labubu's question mark. If you can guess who gave me the question, you won't have to answer it ever again.
Meg?
No.
Or Jodes?
Neither of the girls, unfortunately. It was actually Ross. Thanks, Ross.
Of course it was.
Just here, mate. Just. Come on. Closer to the telly.
Although,
get out.
Say, I will become one massive fan of Labubu's if it gets all these scalpy, like, hype beasts out of the hobby because they're chasing some weird theory thing with massive teeth.
On that note, let me come close. Scalpers love Labubu's. Go check them out. They're incredible. You know the money you can make off Labubu's? Go there.
The markup is at least 40%. Go.
Oh, I sold a Labubu earlier for 10 grand. Fuck off.
Bought it for a $5.
And people will sell to you for 55%, so go do it.
I love how we tried so hard for the first 3 episodes to be PG, but now it has just got to a point where it goes, "Oi, fuck off." Right, this is a good question, but we're going to do it as quickfire can be. In the upcoming sets, not including Black Bolt and White Flame, what Pokemon deserve an IR or SIR? Pick 3.
Sandshrew. There you go, Toads.
Yeah, you got 2 more, Tone.
I'm leaving it at Sandshrew. I want to see what Ed does now.
I'm leaving it at Sandshrew. I don't want to copy Ed.
Haunter, I would love to see.
Yes, Haunter.
I would love to see a shiny Haxorus because that is one of the best shinies in the game.
Ooh. Have we had a full art Growlithe? We've had Arcanine, but we've not had Growlithe.
Yeah, you had Hisuian Growlithe.
Yeah, no, I want OG Growlithe.
Have OG Growlithe then.
So yeah. I don't want to copy because Haunter, I should have just gone before Ed did. Haunter would have been up there. For me.
Haunter's a great shout.
Pokemon ever.
Annihilate would be very cool.
Yes.
Yeah.
Go on then, Tone. You got 2 more.
I
can tell you now that you won't copy me, so it's fine.
No, who was the one I just said? My mind's gone blank.
Growlithe.
No. Do you know what I do want to see? So Growlithe, Haunter, but I'm letting Ed keep that one. Sandshrew, and I want to see a proper good full art card of Onyx. There's only been one.
Great choice.
But I want to see a proper good full art of Onyx.
All of mine are not odd choices, but they all feature in the latest games. I want to see a full art IR Electrode. I think it got some good love when it came to Iono with Voltorb. and I think that it's a Pokemon that massively goes under the radar, especially when it comes to VCG, like video game one. Like it's fantastic. So just shut up and give it a good card. Next one, Porygon. Any of the first two, not the latest one, because Porygon Z got a full art in SB, but original Porygon, I think deserves a really cool, funky, trippy, like full art would be really cool. And one that I'm actually really surprised hasn't had a full art, Tentacruel. Fantastic Pokemon, readily available in the latest game. It's massively underrated. A Pokemon that I absolutely adore, and it deserves. And I think you could do some really cool things with a giant octopus. Do you know what I mean? What more do you need?
Before we move on, I want to go back to a topic we've already discussed, and how does Pokemon move on? I think the one thing that kind of annoyed me about Black and White sets is it's incredible for anyone that the Black and White region and era is great for them. There are so many Kanto Pokemon and Johto Pokemon that have not had a full art. Because I was sitting there and I was like, yeah, Sandshrew, and then Geodude, Graveler, Golem. I know they're not the best fighters in game, but I loved them as a kid. I do not know why. But Geodude and Graveler never had any. I'm looking at my 151 poster and I'm like, so many cards on there
Scyther's not
haven't had a full art. Yep. I would love to see a full art that is maybe a tag team if it ever goes back to that, but a Metapod Kakuna.
That would be such a good tag team, but such a crap couple of Pokemon in game. Like said, a Beedrill Butterfree one would be really cool.
Mm.
I'd love to see a 4 and do Beedrill, Butterfree, Beautifly, and I've forgotten the other one, Ninjask.
Okay.
Don't know why, because obviously they're like the Route 1 bugs, aren't they? I feel like that could be cool.
I thought you was going to say Dustox.
Dustox, that's the one I'm on about. Sorry, yes, Dustox, not Ninjask. Ninjask can go in there as well, just because it's got a really cool design. I'd love to see the Route 1 birds all on one card, like from everyone. I feel like that'd be such a cool one, and then have something really nasty like Braviary over the top, like something like that.
I'd love to see more of like the tag teams as well, where it's like the regional variants and their original counterpart,
like Muck and Alolan Muck.
Yeah, but imagine a regular executor looking up at a giant Alolan executor. Like, there's so much that they could do with that, and like having
you could have like a card that's literally split in half, or a break card.
Oh no, we're not bringing those back. We're not bringing break cards back. No.
Hot weather Sandshrew, cold weather Sandshrew, or the fire and ice of Vulpix.
Oh, just give me one Pokemon looking in a mirror and seeing its like regional variant. That would just be.
See, that would look sick with the Alolan Sandslash, looking into some ice and seeing regular Sandslash or Sandshrew, either or. All right, this one I think is going to cause a fight, and I can't wait. Rank every starter's set from worst to best.
Oh God.
Kanto best. Anything anyone else says, you're wrong. You're wrong. Kanto is best. I will fight you.
I think it has I can't disagree because it's got the legacy. I would say that Kanto is the best. I'm going to go out on a limb and say that the latest Fuecoco, Quaxley, and Sprigatito are the worst. I can't think of a worse starter trio.
What's Sun and Moons?
I know that it's God. What's the one that evolves in the Primarina? That one.
Oh, I hate that
that's
one.
It.
No,
Sun and Moons is the worst.
That is by far.
Sun and the Moons is the worst.
Okay, Sun and Moon bottom, Scarlet and Violet next.
I actually am going to. I literally had. Yeah, I'm going to say Sun and Moon is last.
Yep.
I'm then gonna say that Sword and Shield is second last.
Oh, actually, I forgot all of. Oh my god, how much I absolutely despise Inteleon. Do you know, me and my missus love Sobble. Don't know why, we just do. But I cannot stand its final evolution, the secret agent wannabe water. Oh no, yeah. Bad.
And then it's I chose Sobble because I always go for water, and its Gigantamax is just long and it's just stupid.
Yeah, okay, alright, so that one and then that one.
So,
I still think, as much as I enjoyed Scarlet and Violet, they've got to be near the bottom. I think the first 3 generations don't need to change position. I think Kanto's first, Johto's second, Emerald, the Hoenn starters, third.
I see. Controversially, I actually think I'd put Gen 3 above Gen 2.
Oh, but I just actually
Really?
I can't. I want to argue, but then again, Meganium, like, it just pisses me off that it exists.
I think that's it, because it's like 2 out of 3 absolutely bang.
That's Typhlosion and Feraligatr.
Yeah, but
No,
3
but
out of
like,
3 bang in Generation 3.
Yeah,
I would say that
right.
currently you're looking at Johto, that Kanto, Hoenn, Johto. I would argue that Diamond and Pearl isn't as good as Black and White.
Unova.
I would
That's
say
that's the one I'm looking at.
I would say that it's Unova, then back to Diamond and Pearl, and then the rest I don't really care. They can all fall in line.
Yeah.
I think for me, I think it goes from bottom to top. Generation 7 is bottom. Generation 8. So let me do it here. So Generation 7,
8,
Generation 8,
9,
Generation 9. And then I would say
5,
I
6.
don't care if you've got. I don't care. I know you got Greninja attacks. But
Yeah, but the rest of the generation's
so
not good
bad.
enough.
Yeah. Generation 6 is next, and then I think it goes 4, 5,
2, 3, 1.
and then it's 2 or 3, and then 1.
Yeah.
I'm struggling because I also love Ruby and Sapphire, and I do love all the Pokemon. I see what you're saying when you say all 3 are great, but there's
I think that's it.
there's
If it
something
wasn't
just
for
about Typhlosion and
But then
Feraligatr,
Meganium's
I'm like,
such. And the problem
putting
is
them in
Meganium
third.
doesn't even have a bad design. It's just so bad to use. Like,
could
purely.
be.
From
I
in-game-
think that's the thing though. If it was in any other game, probably not. But using Meganium in Johto region is horrendous.
Yeah, it's pointless.
But if you were to put Meganium up against, like, that's what I'm saying. What would I prefer, Meganium or Sceptile?
Sceptile every single time.
It's a good Pokemon, but again, I feel like, and this is where, if I'm going to say about Greninja attacks, I feel like, and this is me criticizing me here, is I feel like Meganium has that Johto tax where I kind of want to pull it to second anyway because of Johto. I'm going to concede here and say Johto goes third.
After
Because
your
I get
performance in
both
this
your
little card of ours, you haven't got any sway left, all right? You used it all earlier. All right, Meganium's going in
Shut
third
up.
place. You just
Shut
have to
up.
live with it. I think that's exactly how it goes. It's a wonderful debate, and I feel like no matter how many people discuss it, and if you haven't, talk about it with your friends and rank them from worst to best at home, and see if you come up with something that's similar to what we came up with.
So just to confirm, we're doing 1, 3, 2, 5, 4, 6, 9, 8, 7.
So see if you match us at home.
Solid.
Have that discussion with your friends, and that brings us to the end of our podcast. I love when we do the little questions at the end because some of them can be really, really quick to answer, and some of them spark mass debate between 3 people that think they're right. It must be really hard to sit here and listen to us argue about it sometimes, but at the same time, That's the beauty of the PokéPals Pokemon podcast. We are here to talk about the things that you want to discuss. And thank you ever so much for everybody that wrote in their questions. Thank you guys, for joining me on another wondrous episode. Tone, I hope you feel less man-fluey and that your Magikarp loses. Yeah, thanks for that. Ed, thank you ever so much for your strongest analytics and your comedy stand-up show. It has been the highlight of a very dark day in my universe. I don't want to sign off because I feel like I've really enjoyed this week, and it's hard for me to say goodbye when I'm having fun. So, from all of us here, thank you ever so much for stopping by. Look after yourselves. Tell people that you love them. Be kind to each other. Catch everything you want to catch. Open everything you want to open. Collect everything you want to collect. From me, Tone, and Ed, love you, bye. See you soon.